Hello everyone, this is AQ from knowwhos.com, and this is a series for Adobe Photoshop tutorials. So in order to get started with Photoshop, you will need Adobe Photoshop. You can use any version. Here I'm using Adobe CC 2018, but this tutorial will also apply to the previous versions of Photoshop. So let's get started. First of all, you'll need to open Adobe Photoshop. So you can, I've pinned it down to my taskbar here, but you can also go to all programs and click on Adobe Photoshop here. So here we've got Photoshop opened up. Now, if you're just starting with Photoshop, your interface might not look the same because I don't have a fresh copy of Adobe Photoshop right now. But when you do, it will ask you to open a file or create new. You can just click on create new, and this is what you'll see. So what Adobe Photoshop is it's actually a image processing software. So it uses pixels. It does not use vectors. So in order to create illustrations and graphic designs, I would actually prefer Adobe Illustrator, but that does not mean you cannot do it in Photoshop. And many people prefer Photoshop over Illustrator for creating web components. So let me show you how it's done. So once you're starting with Adobe Photoshop, there are several workspaces you can use. So what I mean by workspaces is it just creates your interface, or it alters your interface depending upon what you actually want to do with the software here. So here we have the essential Adobe Photoshop interface. You can change that by going to Window, Workspace, and you can click on Essentials. That's the default one. And you can also change it to 3D. So here you can see it has changed interface a little bit. So there are several workspaces you can use, graphic and web, motion, painting, photography, depends what you actually want to do with the software. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to start with the essentials, and later on we will customize it depending upon the tools that we're going to use the most. So it totally depends upon the preference, what you actually want to do with the software, and it is also customizable, so you can do whatever you want with it. So once you're starting with Photoshop, you can create a new file or you can open a new file as well. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to open a file. So for that, you can go to File, Open, that's Command or Control O. So once you click on that, you can navigate through your computer and find the image or the file that you want to open. So here we're opening an image. This is what it looks like when you open an image. Or alternatively, you can also create a new document. So for that, you can go to File and New, or you can press Command or Control N. And once you do, this pop-up will open up. So here, Adobe has given us different presets for what we want to do. So you can go to Photo, Print, Art and Illustration, Web, and Mobiles, and Film and Video. So it has defined values for several different projects that you might use in future. So for web, it's you can see this is the most common one, 1366 times 76 pixels at 72 pixels per inches. So this is what you generally see when you open up your web browser or your laptop screen. So this is the most common size, and this is the 1080p. You can also change it to 4K, 5K, depending upon which kind of document you're working with. So let's just skip that part and let's get started with our customized file. Here, we've got this general 1080p preset, but you can also change the values here. So I'm just going to leave it with 1920 pixels times 1080 pixels at the resolution of 72. I'll explain why it's 72 here later, and that's 72 pixels per inches. And there are also color modes. So there's RGB color, CMYK, grayscale, bitmap, lap color. So we'll jump into the details later, but the most common that we're going to use is going to be the RGB and CMYK. So the difference is that for computer screens or mobile devices screens, the color definition is set up in RGB colors. That's red, green, and blue. And for prints, you can also use CMYK, that's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So this is the colors of the ink that most printers use. So for print files, you can use CMYK, and for web files, you can use RGB. And also there are background options. So you can also select the color of the background that you want to use, but we're just gonna leave it to white for here. And you can also use transparent background. So your image does not have a background, and the file that you have can overlap the other files. So I'll show you how it's done. Let's get started with creating a new document. So once you've got the document right here, you can place other objects on that. So you can also drag this image and place it here, and then you can transform it and resize it. So I'm just going to delete this layer for now. And here we have the default white background layer. You can also delete this layer to create a transparent background. Let me show you how it's done. So first of all, I'm going to start by creating a new layer. So this layer right here is transparent. And if you click the little eye icon right here, it will turn off the visibility of the background that we have. So we have a transparent image right here. And you can also delete the background if you wish to. Just hit delete when you've selected this layer. And you're just left with the transparent layer we just created. So here are different tools. We'll jump into each of them later. And this is what Adobe Photoshop looks like. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned a thing or two, make sure to drop a like and subscribe.